What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to start a series that we're going to do over the next week or two. We're going to be going over all the pay-to-win artifacts and talking about when they become very strong and also what heroes would be usable with them. Now, this first one we're going to start out with artifact we could get this week, or rather this past week, the Golden Crown. It is probably one of the most versatile artifacts in the entire game. You can really throw it on anybody and it will do at least a decent job, which is why we always say if you're not sure what artifacts to go for crowns, because crowns will be usable pretty much everywhere. PvP, they're dominant. Aspen Dungeon, they can be useful. Sealand 21 to 25, they are definitely the go-to artifacts, and they're just pretty much usable in every type of game mode. So trying to farm up golden crowns is a good idea. We're going to jump in game. We're going to talk about the artifact in the regular 5-star form and, of course, the upgraded versions from Ormus Workshop. And then we're also going to go over and talk about what heroes would be best for them and which ones they're just good. Because, honestly, the golden crown, it's good on everybody. So, unlike this one, other videos will be like, yeah, don't put this artifact on this hero. But this one, we're going to more or less talk about the ones that really stand out and do really well with the crowns. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So first off, let's go into our artifacts. Let's take a look at our catalog here. We are going to look for the regular crown first. Now, overall, the regular crown, while good, isn't as powerful as the upgraded version. So when you only have one golden crown, you can, of course, upgrade it to 18 attack, 25 HP, and 25% all damage reduction. This makes it an extremely well-rounded artifact, and much better, I would say, than even just the normal artifacts like the Plate of Courageous. 30% damage reduction, which it gives you technically 5% more regular damage reduction, but it doesn't give you any all damage reduction, and it gives lower HP. This gives you just a nice, well-rounded amount of stats. All damage reduction is going to reduce all damage coming in, which is very nice. It is very solid of an artifact, but you won't feel as much of an effect throwing a golden crown on as potentially maybe one of the other pay-to-win artifacts in their regular form. But the true power really comes out when you start upgrading it. So essentially what happens is when you get it up to glittery, radiant, or splendid, when the battle starts, it increases the hero by a percentage of all damage reduction, which will decrease each round. So it's a lower number for the lower tiers. But when you get up to this, you're essentially having in round 1 75% all damage reduction. It is ridiculous amount of damage reduction. You guys have seen it in all of our Sealand attempts that we've done in 21 and 25. Crowns go on everyone. We are literally loading up on crowns across our account. It is just by far the most useful and versatile of all these artifacts. Now we will follow up with the other ones. We'll probably leave a couple to last, mainly the torch. It doesn't really have much use, but the crown is very strong. Now, like I said, this artifact is extremely good and useful on any hero, but there are some that they really packs a punch with. A couple heroes that we're going to go over. Number one, Horus does a really good job in the early game. So if you're trying to push Sealand 20 and you just can't quite get there, but maybe you don't have your monster fully upgraded, throwing an upgraded crown on Horus is going to make Sealand ridiculously easy. Honestly, the different ones you use are Plate of Courageous on him. You can use the Withered Armor, which is the Shadow Faction damage reduction artifact that gives him bonus HP, but that all damage reduction really helps him not proc Unbending Will too early in the battle and makes him go to the long fights. Very good on him. Now, one thing to note, it can be useful on some of the other shadow heroes. On Kirimaru, you can use that in endgame PvP on him right now if you're doing kind of like a death revive type composition with Andreas, Carries, Asmodela, Dauntlesses, things like that. It's very good. And it can be useful on anybody. Technically, you can use it on Eloise too. Eloise does usually do better with a Splendid AMB because she really synergizes with that attack. But a crown can work on her very well as well, including PvP, Tower of Dream, all those places. So these are the main two, mainly the ones you want really tanky. They are the best for. Speaking of that, Fiona can be another really good candidate for that in most game modes. Inosuke can do okay with it. I've actually found Inosuke is much better with offensive artifacts. Sherlock, he can use it as well, but you usually would want to use either a Rui Scepter or a Splendid A and B on him. And Unimax could be a very good target if for some reason you still have Unimax out there. Not many people do, because he's kind of like just not as good of a version as Sherlock. He's already super tanky. You throw a crown on there, he's going to go absolutely crazy, be super tanky, tons of damage. He will be very, very well suited for it. Moving over to the Abyss faction. Actually, I really, really like it on wall deck. I don't like wall deck built with offensive artifacts for a lot of game modes. I actually prefer the Splendid Crown or an upgraded crown on him. That's what we used on him to get Sealand 20 done. It worked out pretty well. Mirax, you probably don't want to use it on as much. You want something very offensive on him. You can definitely use it on Ignis. It's very, very good artifact on Ignis if you're not using an upgraded Demon Bell. It's going to give her a little bit more tankability, give her more HP, because of course all of her heals are based on her max HP, so the more HP she has, the better. And of course that damage reduction just prevents her from dying too soon. Besides that, you don't really use it on anybody else. Rui Scepter is typically used on crews. Cthulhu, you could use it on to get Sealand 20 done as well. An upgraded A and B also does well on him, but a crown would definitely get you to Sealand 20 with Cthulhu. Over to the Forest faction. The new hero does decently with it as well. I haven't had a chance to test him in Sealand though, from 0 or from 1 to 20. Definitely good artifact. He wants to be tanky. He wants to live. He wants to survive. It's all right. Flora is surprisingly good on too. We used that on our Twine meme team, and it did pretty decent on keeping her alive in Sealand as well. Rogan, definitely an option as well. Usually your Rogans are going to be the ones feeding energy with upgraded Demon Bells, but if you're just using him for pure support, a crown is going to be absolutely amazing on him. And it is a very good artifact on Garuda as well. Building her tanky can be a very good strategy, especially if you have carries or something like that in your lineup where they die. It keeps her alive. It's going to lower her damage output, of course, but it can definitely work. If you're doing Sealand 21 and you have like a couple Garudas, you usually throw a crown on one of them, maybe an Antlers Cane or a Punisher Staff on the other one, and you can clear it pretty easily. Everybody else, not really worth talking about. I guess on Valkyrie it could be good, but honestly you're probably going to use the Forest one instead. But yeah, over here Drake is a definite good candidate to have. Drake really isn't in your team for damage. He's there to survive for his defense down debuff from his Shadow Lure ability. This is going to remove all defense from the enemy, synergizes extremely well with heroes like Sword Flash Shia. Definitely something to put on him. You want survivability. Carry, probably not someone you want to put it on. You actually don't mind her dying. You're going to typically run her with energy in most cases or speed. Amun-Ra is another good candidate for it if you're not going for energy. Keeping her tanky, letting her get all of her healing off, her healing curses, her shields is a very strong hero to put it on. Besides that, there's really not any other candidates. And then on the light faction, probably the best hero to have crown right now is Andrea. You want Andrea to stay alive because every time an ally dies, you are just going to be healing the entire team, and it's very good. You want Andrea to be the last hero on your team alive. You definitely need them on him for Sealand 21 to 25 in the light faction. Besides that, the only other one that would probably be worthwhile using it on is probably Ada, and that's mainly for pushing Aspen Dungeon, but most people nowadays are not going to be building Ada. Ada is a hero of the past mostly. So after that, you can throw it on every single Transcendence hero. Yes, every single one of them. They can all do fine with it. Typically, Jaro would probably be the least useful with it, but everybody else does very well with it. Even Fairy Queen Vest, I do like running her with an A and B, but every hero here can be used with a Splendid Crown. And again, that's why it's just so versatile. It does so many great things. Typically, you're going to be running more offensive artifacts for them when you're coming to Sealand. Queen does use it occasionally. You probably want to use an A and B or an Antlers Cane on most of these heroes if you're pushing their respective Sealands. But overall, it can be useful on just about anybody. So let me know what you guys think. Would you change up who I said, who should wear it, who gets the best? Did I miss anybody that really does well with the crown? And let me know if you guys enjoy this series and you can't wait to see the other episodes. I might try to put one out a day until we go over all the pay-to-win artifacts, just so you know who you use them for. I think next up we might move over to a lesser used one, Kiss of Ghost, because that has some very interesting uses on certain heroes, especially when it comes to Sealand. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I'll see you guys next time.